To keep the show going? That's what I'm talking about. Coming up to the stage, we're going to have our next speaker, Abhoucharon, is going to talk about experience in gaming and what that means. So,
I've worked with people before. Once. Hi. Hi. You didn't have to answer, but I really appreciate that. They kind of takes the edge off. So yeah, I'm Alex, and I'm here to talk to you to give you some really practical tips on visual art and how they can apply to game design. So if you think about games, one of your big challenges is this weird cryptid that we call the player. You know, you're supposed to be able to like communicate with them, but you can't just be like right there, breathing down their neck as they're playing the game and be like, that's actually symbolism. You can't do it. You have to actually communicate through your art, right? And that's something that visual artists have been struggling with for centuries. I've been through art school twice, so you don't have to. Don't do it. And I picked up these tips along the way. I use them usually to reframe my work with game design, or when I find myself stuck or spinning my wheels, and I really hope you find them useful too. So first off, let's start with the rule of three. That's one of the most valuable, galaxy brain moments that I ever had, and it was a teacher for painting that looked at a painting, a horrible painting that I did in first year, and I had this horrifying yellow color. Oh, I assumed I was going to sweat and my hair was going to curl back again, but it stayed flat. That's supposed to be me. I swear to God. So he looked at my painting and he was like, all right, well, you have this block of this color here. I need it to appear 2 more times in your painting to have some sort of cohesiveness. So the first tip is, if a color or shape appears prominently in any of your scenes or tableaus, make sure it's present at least 2 more times. This stops your eye from hyper-focusing on one alien color, unless that's your intention, then that's something we're going to talk about later, and brings harmony and balance to your game, as well as it limits the appearance of throwaway mechanics, or one-use assets. There was a really interesting talk this morning about reuse everything. Yeah, it's kind of that. You put a lot of time and work in your assets, and then your symbolism, your color, don't use it once. Follow the rule of 3. This can work for, as I said, mechanics, items, consumables, anything. It applies all over game design. And I think it's a nice balancing act that you don't really have to think about. The key is to vary the size and impact of whatever you're repeating so you can just avoid monotony, right? Another tip, which I absolutely love, is focus detail in teeny tiny areas. When you're game designing, as well as when you're painting, rhythm is essential to your composition. One way to keep things fresh, both visually and mechanically, is to provide a player with pockets of high density, detail and intensity to contrast with vast, more relaxed expanses. Has anyone here played Journey? Yeah. There you go. You have super intense, super emotional moments. And then very calm, expansive, oh, I'm just going to walk along the beach show, oh, here's a player, kind of moments. If everything's the same level of detail, nothing stands out. Please, AAA games, environment artists, I don't need to see every leaf on the tree. It's okay, I understand. You paid a lot of money for that engine. It renders, yay, but just learn to pack high detail in smaller spaces. This works for character design. This works for level design. Just use it to your advantage. Think of it think of the invincibility star in Super Mario. It feels the best if you get a ridiculous amount of hurdles to just plow through with Hulk mode in those 10 seconds. You know, just think about that when you're trying to to control the rhythm of your game. Next, we're going to go purely visual, but it's really interesting. Leading lines. There are many ways to guide your viewer's eyes from element to element and kind of wordlessly bring them to the focus of your scene or piece or your moment. one of these many methods is the leading line. I'm going to talk about a few later, but right now, the leading line. You can use literal lines. It's okay. Christian art does it a whole lot. Just put lines around the head. It's fine. It's not a cop-out. You can make it work. You can use arrows that the player will instinctively follow. You can also use perspective lines that are in your environment that meet at a vanishing point, right? And put the important thing or person at that vanishing point, or at an intersection of points. Gameplay-wise, you can use salient interactable points, as I said, on these intersections to draw the player to spaces they may not have considered before. A trail of shiny coins, unexpected animation in the bushes of strategic place. A quick way to test if this is working for you is you just kind of squint your eyes at your scene and see how your eye moves through the scene instinctively. Because everything blurs, you'll only see shapes and contrast. And that's a really easy way to see how your eye reads something. Is this useful? Are you getting anything from this? Yes. Great. Another way to lead the eye, color contrast. Sorry if you're colorblind. I try to make them as contrasty as possible. So when you're leading the eye, color is a powerful ally. When it comes to maximum contrast, nothing will do it like complementary colors. I'm sure you've already heard this. How you find a color's complementary is you get yourself one of those color wheels. You can see them online all the time. And you just go opposite from it by going through the center. And that's where the color that is complementary to it will be. Just as a cheat sheet, the main color pairs are red, green, yellow, purple, and orange, blue. If a scene you're building is predominantly purple, you can immediately catch the eye of the player by making any special location or interactable yellow. If you're stuck on a color mood, try going for a main overall color for your lighting, and then make your highlight color a light version of the complementary. As a general rule, highlight colors should be used sparingly so that you don't dilute the strength in the scene. You don't want people to focus on too many things at the same time, right? Quick and easy. Speaking of colors and mood, color generators are your best friend. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to be a color wizard. God knows I'm not, and I've been I did 5 years of art school, it's fine. Just, if you can't articulate exactly what colors you want a scene to have, try collecting photos that inspire you, that have kind of the mood you're going for. Try to take screen caps of your favorite movies, stuff you look at it and you're that's the mood I'm going for. And then just put it through Photoshop and pick the colors. Everyone does that, I promise you. Every artist they do that. If you don't want to color pick exactly, you can just go through Canva.com, which allows you to make palettes out of an image that you upload. If you already have a particular color in mind, one of your characters is represented by a color, or it has a certain motif that is one color, you can just put it into and you want other colors that go well with it, you could just try color scheme generators like coolo.com with 3 O's. Because that allows you to pick a color, a hex specifically, lock it in place, and then shuffle the others around until you find the mood that you want. Okay? So yeah, just look for inspiration everywhere. Honestly, search for color generators online. It'll turn up all sorts of really cool stuff and free options that you can play with. Alright, let's talk about people of color. I think you're going to be really familiar with this one, but if you're a light skin like me, you're kind of used to everything in media being tailored to your skin. So you don't really think about it. Classical art in particular has gatekept and failed people of color, darker people of color, constantly, while also managing to fetishize every non-white type of person ever, which is honestly kind of impressive. But that's fine. This tip I call the Sean Alexander Allen, because I learned it from Sean at GDOC 2 years ago. 3 years ago? He was giving a talk with Cat Smalls, and he showed, I think it was in Crypt of the Necrodancer, the second character in co-op is brown. But she is the same brown as the floor behind you. So she's impossible to see. So that's it, that's the tip. Don't make your brown characters the same color as the dirt in your game. Yeah. I can also expand on 3D. So if you're doing a 3D game, sliding dartston properly is super important. If you play Final Fantasy 14, you already know what I'm talking about. If you have a brown character and it's nighttime, good fucking luck. Oh, sorry, am I not supposed to swear? Oh. So yeah, test often for a wide range scale of what? Gotcha. Faster. All right, this is the way to test everything I just told you. All right, you did your shit. You found your complementaries, you highlight what you need to highlight, but how do I check? I've been squinting so long on this damn image, I have no idea what I'm looking at anymore. Just run it through a black and white filter. Honestly. That will remove everything except the values. No more hues, nothing to distract you, just the values. And this is kind of like a really nice cheat also for like, if you want to be good on colorblind mode, like you want to make sure people who like can't see color can still understand your game. Go ahead and put it in black and white and just see if it all flows the way you want it to flow. Okay? A last one is, this is a big one in art. Please use references, and if you do, credit them. One, there's no shame in using references, but two, if you're referencing another creator's work, especially one that is more marginalized or lesser known than you, please be proud of them and just be their biggest champion, because they're basically doing work for you, and they might not have the same opportunity as you to have their work highlighted. So if you're doing that, if you're referencing a mechanic from a game or something, just say it. No one's gonna think you stole it. No one thinks you just came up with video games. It's fine. Just do your thing. And last but not least, break the rules. Now that we've run through all the visual art tips, hacks, and rules, or whatever it is, sometimes breaking a rule, especially a rule that you've established carefully in your game as a constant, can be the most impactful thing you can do. So go ahead. If the narrative supports it, make that unique over-the-top asset that will only be used once and then magically disappears. Or introduce a neon blue in the last scene of your so far monochromatic movie 50s cinema-style horror visual novel. I don't know. Flood the entire screen with a wealth of overpowering detail. After all, it's your game, and you can break every rule if you want to. Like putting 9 tips in a presentation called 10 Tips for Visual Art Dev.